So another huge story, you guys, and this, unfortunately is indicative of a lot of places around the world, or I'm sorry, around the country. I'm sure the world too, but in particular the United States. We've talked about Flint before. We've talked about, was it Chicago, Indiana? And there are a number of there are towns in West Virginia. There are, all over the place. There are cities that are going through water crises. In fact, thousands of cities have lead and bacteria and other contaminants in their water, just like Flint, just like now Jackson, Mississippi. This is a tweet from Molly Minta. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how bad it is. Look at that water, you guys. Look at that water. That's not water. That's mud. So this was just a few days ago that she posted this. So the water crisis continues in Jackson, Mississippi, which I'm sure I don't have to tell my viewers, as with many of the cities that are left out to dry in terms of their water supply, is disproportionately black. It is poor and black and brown communities that are left out to dry in these scenarios. And I also wanted to show you guys here a chart showing how federal funding for water infrastructure has declined. They say 77% per capita since 1977. The water infrastructure crisis is a national one. This is by vocal advocacy class, #defundBPD. So I want to show you guys this chart. It goes back to 56. It appears that 58 is when federal spending on water infrastructure began, and you can see how that chart goes. It seems to peak around 1976, and then it has been at a pretty steady decline ever since then, and it goes through 2014. So this, you guys, I want to take an opportunity here to talk about federal funding a little bit. This is one of the reasons that it is so important for basic needs to be financed at the federal level. Local constituencies are financially constrained in a way that the federal government is not. Local constituencies do have to rely on tax dollars and loans and things like that to pay their bills. The federal government is the currency issuer and therefore does not have to rely on those things to fund its programs. That is why basic needs like healthcare, like housing, like water should very much fall under the financing of the federal government. And this is one thing we talk a lot at RP about. This is why MMT, or modern monetary theory, is so critically important. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say that, please, you guys go to realprogressives.org to learn more about MMT. We have all sorts of educational material there. It is very important to understand how the federal government finances itself when we talk about these policy issues. I would also encourage you to read The Deficit Myth by Stephanie Kelton if you have not. It might sound dry and boring, you guys. I really get it, but it's of critical importance when we discuss these kinds of policy issues. I also just wanted to note that when something like this happens, major corporations stand to benefit, because if you don't fix the problem, if you don't actually fix the infrastructure in Jackson or in Flint or in Chicago, Indiana, or anywhere else, what ends up happening is charity groups come in and things like that. There are also public programs that fund this, but you end up like handing out water bottles, you guys. Well, who loves that? Nestle loves that. And Dasani and whoever else, they might even be the same company now that all these conglomerates, whatever, you get the point. Companies that package water in plastic containers and then get to, take either public money or money from charity or money from GoFundMes or whatever to continue to provide water to these communities, they get to benefit from this. So there's all sorts of angles to this, but obviously, first and foremost, leaving a community without water, and in many cases forcing them to continue to pay for that water, is one of the most egregious things that I can imagine a city or state or county or country doing. So I hope that there's supposedly a federal investigation into local officials here and what has happened. I certainly hope there will be action taken to try to correct this, but I'm not naive enough to expect that will happen in any timely manner. We all remember how the investigations in Flint and in Michigan went, and how they are still to this day dealing with water problems. How many years into us knowing about this crisis? So This is something that we all need to take very seriously. And again, I want to underscore the importance of federal funding and understanding why these programs should be paid for at the federal level. I also want to give a huge shout out to Jordan Chariton and Status Coup, who have been among the very few who have stayed right on top of these stories. Jordan, it might not have been Jordan. Status Coup was on the ground in Jackson, and Jordan and others from Status Coup have been constantly on the ground in Flint, Michigan. I really want to give them a shout out because they've been, like I said, among the very few who've actually, cared to cover this with any consistency whatsoever. You can also find our founder and CEO, Steve Grumbine, on Status Coup regularly doing the Let's Get Ready to Grumble segments. I encourage you guys to hop over to their YouTube when this stream is over and take a look at some of those segments, as well as Jordan and his colleagues reporting in Jackson and Flint and elsewhere.